Thank you guys all for joining us this morning as we introduce Sean Johnson as the new athletic director here at Newberry College. He will officially start his tenure April 1 after Ralph Patterson officially retires January 31st. As we've done these before, I'm sure you guys will know, if you are just sitting and listening, please mute your mics just to make sure that we don't get any feedback or anything. Then whenever you're wanting to ask a question, simply just unmute yourself. I'll open up the floor for questions after a short introduction and opening statement from Sean Johnson.
Well, good morning, everybody, and greetings from sunny but frigid Jamestown, North Dakota, where it's 15 below zero right now. But excited to be joining you and excited to be the next athletic director at Newberry College. And it's a great move for myself professionally and an absolutely great move for my family. And we can't wait to be there.
So at this time, we'll open it up for questions. If anybody wants to lead it off, feel free to unmute yourself and ask away.
Okay, I'll get it started. Hello, Mr. Johnson, and welcome to South Carolina. When you officially get here, it'll be a lot warmer than what you're experiencing now, although it's a little chilly for us right now.
Right.
But I'm Rick Henry. I'm the sports director for the NBC affiliate in Columbia, South Carolina. And I was just wondering, what's your formula, what's your plan for establishing, or I guess I should say, for improving a successful athletics department?
Well, thanks for the question. You know, I think the number one thing that I need to do is listen. And I certainly have an idea of things that we need to do and successful things we've done here at the University of Jamestown. But every school is different, and you have to understand the nuances of every situation. So I think the most important thing that I need to do when I get to Newberry is listen to our coaches, listen to the staff, get input from administration, listen to our student athletes, which is incredibly important, and our community, and make sure you know, there is a good strategic plan in place. How do we best move that strategic plan forward and try to become the best athletic department in the South Atlantic Conference?
Okay, I'm going to go next. This is Amanda Poole with Watch Fox in Columbia. It's nice to meet you, and I look forward to working with you eventually. I was wondering, coming from North Dakota, I guess, what types of things are you going to take from that job to bring into this South Carolina job?
Well, I think the two schools are very similar. We're both faith-based, small private institutions that have large student athlete populations. And so it's something I'm very familiar with. Here at the University of Jamestown, we have 950 undergrads. We have about 630 to 650 student athletes, 21 sports. So, you know, our coaches are, not only do they need to be outstanding coaches and obviously trying to win championships, but it's important to have healthy rosters. Retention is incredibly important here at the University of Jamestown, as I'm sure it is at Newberry. So I think when you're a coach at a small private, you've got a lot of hats to wear, and you've got a lot of challenges that maybe other schools don't. But the great thing about that is because you have that close-knit community within your institution, that you have a lot of support services, everybody works together, and everybody's really focused on the same thing, which is to have an outstanding student athlete experience.
Jimmy Coggins from WKDK locally here. You've obviously gone through some changes there where you are now with renewing facilities and updating facilities, and obviously that is going on here in Newberry. What are your thoughts about that process?
Well, we were really fortunate here at the University of Jamestown. We have a great president, Dr. Polly Peterson, and I've been able to work with her, and we've done some great things in terms of facilities here at the University of Jamestown. And that really comes down to our supporters and our alumni. We have an incredibly strong, loyal alumni base here at the University of Jamestown, which I'm sure we have at Newberry College as well. And it's really trying, and obviously new facilities are being built right now in Newberry, and there's a plan. But you always want to look at that plan and how can you expand it, and what are the interests of your donors and your boosters, and really cultivating those relationships. And you know, again, talking to your student athletes, what is their experience like right now? What are the things they want to see happen? What is your coaching staff? What do they think is important? And really, again, listening to your community, listening to your alumni, your student athletes and your coaches and finding out what is important to them. What are the things we need to attack right away? What are some of the things that are more long range, but still need to be part of our plan working forward?
I'll continue. Have you had a chance to talk to any of the coaches since this announcement was made? Have you had a chance to visit with any of them, at least virtually?
Coach Knight and I have talked on the phone. I texted him a couple days ago and he called me and we had a great conversation. I know he's doing a terrific job in recruiting, and I watched some of the basketball games last night from Limestone. It was great to see us get a sweep. And so I emailed both the coaches after the game, and I'm going to be coming to Newberry in a couple of weeks and visiting before I make the transition at the end of March. So, you know, I've got a big job here and a lot to do still at the University of Jamestown, but once nighttime rolls around and I'm at home, I'm trying to communicate with coaches and staff and make sure I'm making connections before I ever get to Newberry. And I'm just can't wait to get there. It's going to be, again, just a great opportunity for myself and my family, and we're really excited about it.
Okay, I've got one that's not really sports related. Your experience of dealing with winter weather may prove to be just invaluable here in South Carolina. Tomorrow, the forecast is for a wintry mix, maybe some snow, some ice, but already most of the schools have announced closings. People tend to panic around here. They rush to the grocery stores and clear out the shelves of milk and bread. So what would your advice be to the locals around here about dealing with that awful winter weather?
Stay home. You know, when you live in North Dakota and it's 19 below zero, whether you like it or not, you get used to it. And we all, the one thing you know about North Dakotans is if you walk out in the Walmart parking lot and you see a bunch of cars running, but there's nobody in them, you know you're in North Dakota because everybody has an automatic car starter. So yeah, I'd rather deal with snow than ice any day. And yeah, I lived in Texas for a long time where they're not prepared for winter either, but they'll get the occasional ice storm and snow. And it's the same thing. Everybody rushes to the grocery stores, and it's tough because you don't have the stuff to deal with it. We got all kinds of snow plows here, and everybody's got a shovel or snow blower, so we know how to deal with it. But when you're not used to it, it's pretty tough.
Yeah, it just it tends to cripple and paralyze us here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I lived in Dallas when that would happen. As many overpasses as they have there, just forget about it. You just stay home.
Good advice. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
The weather here can change in 5 minutes, that's for sure. Another quick observation. Talk a little bit about the South Atlantic Conference, probably one of the most competitive conferences in Division II, especially, I would say, in football, basketball, and baseball. So it's a really tough league, and top to bottom, anybody can beat anybody most any day.
Well, I think that's a great situation to be in. And we went through a conference change here at the University of Jamestown. We were part of a conference that was regionally based, but had some schools a little bit closer to us. But we were one of the only 2 private schools in that league, and it just we didn't really fit. And so we made the move to the Great Plains Athletic Conference, which I kind of refer to as the Big Ten of the NAI. They're all small, private, faith-based institutions with really broad-based, very successful athletic departments. And, you know, it was a challenge for us, but it was the right thing to do. And, you know, again, the high tide raises all boats. And for instance, our volleyball team has been to the NAI Final Four the last 3 years. And one of the reasons for that is because now we play in the toughest volleyball conference in the NAI, and it gets us ready once we get to the national tournament. If you asked our volleyball coach, who was definitely concerned at the time when we made the move, if it's paid off for him, he would say absolutely correct, because once he got to the national tournament, he'd already been through the battles. He'd already been tested. He had faced, you know, top 20 teams night in and night out. And I think the same for the South Athletic Conference. You know, if you want to compete at the national level, then you've got to be battle tested in your conference. And I feel if you win the South Athletic Conference, then once you get to the national playoffs, you got a chance to be successful. And I think football obviously proved that in the fall.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yes, sir. I'll make sure my phone's turned off here. All right, there we go. Sorry
Hey,
about that.
Sean, it is Amanda again with WatchFox. I just wanted to ask, I saw that under your time there in North Dakota, you guys have added several programs, including some of the ones that Newberry doesn't have, like men's volleyball, swimming and diving, things like that. Is that something you're open to when you come to South Carolina? Is that something that you have any ideas rolling yet?
Absolutely. And I know, there's already a foothold in the region for men's volleyball. I'm well aware of that. We added men's volleyball 3 years ago. We're very successfully. We're ranked number 6 in the country preseason. Women's wrestling was already here when I arrived, and we actually host the NAI Women's Wrestling National Championships in March, which is one of the reasons I won't be in Newberry until April, because I want to be here for that. Women's and girls wrestling is maybe the fastest growing sport on the high school level in the entire United States. It's a tremendous sport with great student athletes and gives young girls and women a great opportunity to compete in a tremendous sport. And really right now it's kind of in its infancy, and at the small college level, it gives you a chance for your student athletes to compete on the national level. We had a young lady who's been on the national team on and off the last 2 or 3 years. It's a great sport. Men's volleyball is a great sport. So it's something that we've done here to help broaden our program, add more female student athletes to our sports offerings, and our community has really embraced it. So yeah, it's definitely something that if the college is interested in doing that, I certainly support it and have a lot of experience in adding those sports.
Sean, one final observation for me. I noticed in reading the release of your coming to Newberry that your ratio of student athletes to the total population or enrollment at your school is much similar to what we have here at Newberry.
Yeah, it is. And I think, again, that's why there's such a focus on retention. It is so important. When you have 950 students, every student really does matter. And, every school likes to say that, especially in their PR. Everybody matters. Every school, every student matters. I went to a school of 25,000 students, loved my experience, but I was one of 25,000 and nobody was really paying too much attention to me, and somebody probably needed to be. At a school like Newberry and a school like the University of Jamestown, people really have an interest in you, and everything that you're doing. They're there to help. The support systems are there. And so I think that's the beauty of working at a small private. I tell people all the time, especially when we have recruits on campus here at the University of Jamestown, I'll say the same thing when I'm at Newberry, that again, I had a great experience where I went to school. I'm proud of my experience. I loved it. But if I'd have been a lot smarter when I was 18 years old, I would have gone to a school like Newberry. I would have gone to a school like the University of Jamestown, because I just think your experience is going to be better because of, again, the rate. We talk about the ratio of student athletes to student population. You play a huge role in that as an athletic director, as an athletic staff, and a group of coaches. You really have a big influence on how things work at the institution. So it's a great responsibility, but it's also a great opportunity. I mean, I'll just add to that. I worked at Publix my entire life until I came to Jamestown, and I'm not knocking it. I'm a product of that system, but this is what I love to do. Working at small privates. I had no idea when I got here 6.5 years ago, what it was really like. And now I can't imagine doing anything else. So that was really one of the big reasons that, the opportunity at Newberry was so intriguing to me, because the culture, the type of things that happen at Newberry College are really the very same type of things that happen at the University of Jamestown. And I love that.
Well, if nobody has any further questions, Sean Johnson, I'd like to appreciate you for joining us this morning. And if anybody has any last minute questions, we'll get those knocked out and then we'll wrap this up.
And I'll email Mike my cell phone number. And so feel free to send that out, Mike, and, feel free to contact me at any time. I'm an old sports information director myself. So, and as an athletic director, and I've been married for 27 years, my wife is used to this. You can reach me anytime. So anything you need, anything I can help you with, I'm there for you 24/7. Not a problem at all.
Okay, well, thank you, but be careful what you ask for.
It's not a problem. Don't worry. I'm used to it. So is my wife.
All right, well, thank you so much. Nice meeting you and look forward to seeing you in person.
Sounds good. Thanks, everybody. Go Wolves.